All right, here we go. Time for another solo overnighter in the woods. And guess what? Like the saying goes, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. It's gonna dump all day and all night. So, priorities, stay dry. Let's get to it. All right, so it's gonna rain all day and all night, and the priority is to keep dry. Fire is secondary. First line of defense for your shelter is always your clothing. Second is some type of shelter system. I've shown this configuration several times, from an 8x8, in this case, even a 10x10. It's gonna be a tarp tent configuration. And this is one reason why I prefer a tarp over a tent any day of the week and twice on Sunday, because of the versatility of it. We're going to start back here with our tarp, our loops. Here's our corner, one from the corner right here. We're going to stake it down and do the exact same thing on the opposite end. Second one from the end is right here. I'm going to pull it tight and stake it out. Going to the front right here, the same second loop. Here's our edge. We have our second loop. I'm going to take my corner, I'm going to tuck it underneath and line it up with my second loop, and we're going to stake that in the ground. So we took our corner and folded it under, right underneath our loop. We're going to discard that one and stake it out just to hold it. Do the same thing on this side over here. I'm going to tuck it under and then stake it out. Now taking a shamog or even a large bandana, it could be a t-shirt, who cares, and a stick, it's probably about 3.5 to 4 feet in length. I'm going to place that on top of there. I'm going to put it underneath our tarp to try to pop it up. Now think about this, the higher you go, the more narrow it's going to be. The shorter the stick, the wider the profile is going to be. So something to keep in mind. 3.5 to 4 foot, you'll be in business. Somewhere about that loop right there, give or take. So you can see what's happening right here. This is going to be the front entrance. So now we'll start working on the back, staking this out and actually making our tent. I can raise or lower this by driving it into the ground, like I said, and make it wider or taller. Starting in the back, we're going to ignore this corner. We're actually going to tuck it underneath, so I'm going to ignore this one. We're going to pull this one tight and stake it out. Temporarily stake it, move to the opposite side, do the exact same thing. Honestly, if you got your steaks already made or you carry steaks with you, you can probably put this bad boy up in 2 minutes or less and be dry. So something to think about. Now think of a way to protect that fire and cover my area here so no water's going to roll inside the open part, and we should be good to go. This right here should keep the water off of the fire area. If you look at, we got one corner tilted. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit more, and if we do that, all the water can roll right off, and you can actually do rainwater catchment if you wanted to. The rain's coming down, so the tarp tent is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Now we got that area where the fire pit's going to be, it's all covered, but I'm telling you right now, with the exception of it looking cool for about an hour and a half, it's probably going to flood out. So here's what it is, but I'm dry, and we're covered all the way around, and the door is actually covered from the tarp that's on top that covers the fire pit. So no water's going to come inside here, and I'm happy with that. Once again, it's my all-time favorite setup for rainy conditions. Good old 10x10 oilskin tarp. And people complain about the weight. It's probably about 4.5 pounds, maybe. If you had to carry something like this, highly suggested. And that's what we're talking about right there. Liver and onions. That's as good as F. Oh my God. Those onions right there. Catch you all in a few. As we're talking, the Etsy page is live. Go check it out. Hit the description box. Click on that link. Take you to my Etsy page. We got military mess kits. We have skillets. We have cowboy tin cups. And a whole lot more. So check that bad boy out. the description box, click on my Etsy link. The Etsy page is live. Having my mat, my Thermarest mat, and we're transitioning back into the Helicon Swagman roll, so we should be good with that. For the most part, I'm dry. Gonna stay that way. And I'm happy with this shelter. Love this thing. 10x10 oilskin tarp, or a regular, say a 9x12 will work from Walmart for like 10 bucks. What I want to do is, like I said, my vehicle, and I heard someone say, well, he talks about his vehicle but never does it. Well, it costs about $4,500 for a paint job and about $2,200 with, you know, front and back bumpers and then a rack. And then, so if you want to front me the money, I'll get it done tomorrow. If not, it takes time. So I'm doing what I can. On that note, catch you all in the morning. There we go, once again, breakfast of champions cooked in a 120-year-old skillet. I mentioned this last night. Yes, the Etsy page is live. We have these skillets on there. Military cook sets, etc. Go to my description box, click on my Etsy page, and check her out. Look at that right there. Get you all in a few. Oh yeah. So real quick before we talk about the shelter, we need to address the Etsy page. Yes, I mentioned this live, but this slipped my mind. I'm still getting comments 2 months later, people tell me, I went there, there's nothing there, something's wrong. If you watch this video and you see it drops on Sunday and you watch it on a Thursday or a Friday, 4 or 5 days later, the Etsy page is going to be sold out. I'm not an antique dealer. I don't buy things that will sit in there for 6 months and hope somebody finds it or hope Etsy pushes it. I drop 10 to 12 items, announce it Sunday so that they're cleaned out, and I move product. That's what I do, and to me that's a good business. I'm moving the product out, bringing new product in. So if you go to Etsy and it's empty, Sunday when the video drops, so does Etsy. Alright, and finally let's talk about the shelter. Nothing spectacular. So simple it's stupid. 10x10 oilskin tarp turned into a tarp tent in the woods. My all-time favorite configuration. This thing is so versatile, you can use it all year round. You're covered on basically 3 3/4 or 3 2/3 side. Tarp over top of it keeps the rain out, fire protected, and it works. Again, I'll take it to my grave. Ask me tarp or tent, I'm going to say minimum 8x8, in this case 10x10. Either sill-nye or oilskin tarp. There's so many things you can do with this. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. Alright, send this bad boy off. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found in 3 places. 1, my Amazon influencer page, and 2, my Self-Reliance Outfitters influencer page. If you're interested in Corporals Corner merchandise, that can be found on Teespring. All 3 links are found inside my description box. Now please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time. And now it's time for Corporals' final thoughts. Okay, so I was watching the old school, well, it's not old school, mid-2000s, early 2000s Batman series. Got the Joker. And kind of reminded me of a conversation I had a while back. One of the most famous lines then and now: if you're good at something, never do it for free. Now, where am I going with this? Let's eliminate helping out a buddy, helping out a friend, helping out a family member, donating time to a church, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Scouts. Donating time is always good. It's always good to give back. Helping out friends and loved ones, it's always a good thing. So, hey man, I need your help. Can you come fix this or help me out or hold this? Or perfect, you know. Great. Everybody should do something like that, and you should volunteer your time and donate back to everyone, the community. Give back, okay? You achieve stuff, you should give back. Now, when shouldn't you give back? Those that are stuck in these mundane rat race jobs, let's use that for example. Whether you're on hourly pay or salary, most companies, not all, but most, tend to think that you're their plaything. You should come in 30, 40 minutes early. You should come in an hour early and set up. You should be here an hour after closing to make sure things are ready for the next day. But that's 10-hour day, and they only want to pay you for 8. But you should want to do that. That's a slippery slope that leads to destruction ultimately, and it's your destruction. The more free time you give to companies like that, the more they expect. Well, so-and-so does that. Well, so-and-so comes in early. Well, so-and-so stays 2 hours later for free. Well, you should too. Well, legally I'm not supposed to, and legally you're supposed to pay me. See where we're going with this? Because so-and-so does something, or because so-and-so chooses to do something, thinking that he or she will have an outcome that's greater than what they currently have, or they'll be promoted, or they'll be the man or woman when the time comes. And when the time comes, they're not. That's a telltale sign that, you know, what they did was on them and it was for free. One example I use is I worked with a friend of mine. He got severely hurt, like seriously hurt, on a ski slope. He had a bunch of sick days saved up, 35, 40 days. They let him take them. He needed multiple surgeries. And when the end came, they were going to fire him and take away his seniority or demote him because he needed more time than what they were going to give. Meanwhile, he had worked there 20 plus years, stayed late, did everything, was a model employee, but when he was no longer profitable in the way they wanted, they were going to get rid of him. Luckily, everybody went to bat for him. Went to the manager and said, look, went to the boss and said, hey, we want to donate our time for this guy because he's a friend of ours. And so the company actually had people give their sick days to him to keep him employed. That's my point. When you're no longer profitable or turn a profit for that company, you're kicked to the curb, no matter what you've done. Not every time that's true, but most of the time. So I ask you, you know, kind of like a rhetorical question. If you're good at something, should you do it for free? Or should you have the experience, the years in, the certificates, the know-how, and seniority to say, hey, I'm worth this dollar amount. I will do this for you for this, versus somebody who just came in and says, I'll do this for you for this. Doctors, lawyers, attorneys are the same way. You're going to pay for their expertise. So there's no right or wrong answer. Again, donating time is always good. If you're good at something, should you do it for free? On that note, until next time, take care of yourself and each other.